The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched higher than most buildings on Earth. Ambassador Kim Ji-woo stood in the center of the circular room, surrounded by representatives from 40 different species. Above her, holographic displays showed her image to thousands more watching across the galaxy. This was humanity's first official contact with galactic civilization. Ji-woo had spent months preparing for this moment. She wore a simple black suit, her hair tied back professionally. In her hand, she carried a datapad with information about Earth and its people. The council speaker, a tall being called Moravex with silver skin and 4 arms, gestured for silence. His voice echoed through the chamber, with electronic translation following each word. "We welcome the humans of Earth to this historic gathering," Moravex announced. "Today, we extend an offer of protection and guidance to your young species." Ji-woo bowed slightly, showing respect. She had studied their customs carefully. Moravex continued, his tone warm but patronizing. "We have observed your world for some time. You show promise, despite your primitive technology and violent history. The galaxy is dangerous for species like yours. Without protection, you will not survive." Another council member stood. This was Executor Tharn of the Thornax Empire, a massive reptilian species known for their military might. His scales gleamed under the chamber lights. "The Thornax Empire offers Earth a place under our protectorate," Tharn declared. "We will defend your worlds. We will guide your development. We will teach you the ways of galactic civilization." A holographic document appeared before Ji-woo. She read through it carefully while the council waited. The terms were clear. Humanity would receive limited technology. They would get protection from external threats. They would have a voice in minor galactic matters, but the cost was equally clear. Earth's military would be absorbed into Thornax forces. Human ships could only travel approved routes. All major decisions required council approval. Trade would go through council-controlled channels. Humanity would become a client species, essentially servants to more powerful civilizations. Ji-woo took her time reading every line. The council members shifted in their seats. They were not used to waiting. Most species accepted immediately, grateful for the offer. "This is a generous proposal," Ji-woo said finally, her voice steady. "You offer us much." Moravex nodded, pleased. "Indeed. The Council's protection is valuable beyond measure. Many species have thrived under our guidance. I have a question," Ji-woo continued. "What happens if we refuse?" The chamber fell silent. Several council members looked at each other in confusion. Moravex's expression showed surprise. "Refuse?" he repeated. "Why would you refuse?" "I am simply asking about the option," Ji-woo replied calmly. Tharn leaned forward, his voice heavy with warning. "Species that refuse council protection rarely survive long. The galaxy has many dangers. Pirates, hostile empires, resource conflicts. Without us, you are vulnerable." "But we would be free to make our own choices?" Ji-woo asked. "Technically, yes," Moravex admitted. "But it would be foolish. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your military is untested against galactic threats. Your economy is isolated. You need us." Ji-woo looked up at the thousands of faces watching her. She thought about the people back on Earth. She thought about the leaders who sent her here with clear instructions. She thought about humanity's long history of choosing freedom over safety. "I appreciate the Council's offer," she said clearly, "but humanity must decline." The chamber erupted in noise. Council members spoke over each other in dozens of languages. The translation systems struggled to keep up. Moravex raised all 4 arms for silence. "You cannot be serious," he said. "Do you understand what you are refusing?" "I understand completely," Ji-woo replied. "You offer us survival at the cost of our sovereignty. You offer us protection at the cost of our freedom. You offer us a place in the galaxy as subordinates, not equals." You speak of equality? Tharn stood to his full, imposing height. You have barely left your own star system. Your weapons are primitive. Your understanding of the galaxy is limited. What makes you think you deserve equality with civilizations thousands of years older? Jiwoo met his gaze without flinching. We do not demand equality. We simply refuse to accept servitude. If we must earn our place in the galaxy, then we will earn it as a free people. This is pride speaking, another council member called out. Perhaps, Jiwoo acknowledged, but it is our choice to make. Moravex's friendly tone vanished. Without our protection, you will face threats you cannot imagine. When pirates raid your colonies, do not expect our help. When hostile empires eye your resources, do not call for our fleets. When you realize your mistake, the terms of our offer may no longer be available. We understand the risks, Jiwoo said. We accept them. Your people will suffer for this decision, Tharn growled. When they cry out in fear and pain, remember that you had a choice. You chose pride over wisdom. Jiwoo picked up her datapad and prepared to leave. She turned to face the council one final time. You see our refusal as pride, she said. We see it as principle. You believe we need you to survive. We believe survival without freedom is not worth having. Perhaps both of us will learn something from what comes next. She walked toward the exit. The council members watched in stunned silence. No species had ever refused their offer. No one had ever walked away from the protection and benefits they provided. As the doors closed behind her, Moravex looked at Tharn. They will not last a year. Tharn nodded slowly. We should prepare to receive their surrender. When they come crawling back, the terms will be much less generous, but neither of them saw the small smile on Jiwoo's face as she left the building. She had done exactly what humanity asked her to do. Now came the hard part. Now humanity had to prove they could survive on their own. The message she sent back to Earth was simple. We are free. Now we must show them what that means. The council chamber, filled with angry voices, 3 days after humanity's refusal. Moravex called the emergency session to discuss what they called the human problem. They are fools, Tharn announced to the gathered representatives. We offer them everything, and they spit in our faces. Let them learn their lesson the hard way. A smaller council member, Pelix of the Traders Guild, raised a tentacle in objection. Perhaps we should try negotiating different terms? They seemed concerned about sovereignty. Sovereignty? Tharn laughed bitterly. They have no right to sovereignty. They are barely space-capable. They have nothing to offer the galaxy except raw materials and potential labor. Moravex nodded in agreement. The Traders Guild is too soft. These humans need to understand their place. I propose we institute a complete blockade of Earth's system. No trade, no contact, no assistance. When they face the galaxy alone, they will understand their mistake. The vote was swift. 37 council members approved the blockade. Only 3 abstained. Within hours, every major trade route near Earth's system was marked as restricted. Human ships were banned from council-controlled stations. The message to the galaxy was clear. Earth was unprotected and unaligned. Give them 6 months, Moravex told Tharn privately after the session. They will come begging for our protection. I give them 3. Tharn replied with confidence. Far from the council chambers, on the edges of civilized space, a pirate captain named Vrok studied the new trade restrictions with interest. He commanded a fleet of 12 ships, enough to raid small colonies and merchant vessels. Look at this, he told his crew, displaying Earth's location on a holographic map. New species. No council protection. No defense agreements. They have mining colonies in 3 systems. His first mate, a scarred veteran of many raids, grinned widely. The easiest, Vrok confirmed. The council report says their military is primitive. Kinetic weapons, basic shields, slow ships. We hit their mining colony in the outer belt, take what we want, and leave before they know what happened. The pirate fleet jumped into Earth's outer belt system 2 weeks after the Council's blockade began. Vroke expected to find frightened miners in a lightly defended colony. What he found instead changed everything. The mining colony sat on a large asteroid, its facilities sprawling across the rocky surface. Vrock's sensors showed approximately 500 humans working there. He also detected 2 small defense platforms and 3 patrol ships. "This will be over in minutes," Vrock announced confidently. His ships moved into attack formation. The patrol ships moved to intercept, but they were much smaller than the pirate vessels. Vrock's weapons officer targeted the defense platforms first. Standard procedure was to eliminate fixed defenses before dealing with mobile units. But something unexpected happened. The defense platforms did not fire back. Instead, the asteroid itself seemed to shift. Massive sections of the rocky surface opened up, revealing hidden weapon batteries. Dozens of missile ports appeared where sensors had shown only mining equipment. "What is this?" Vrock shouted as alarms blared across his ship. The missiles launched in a coordinated wave. But these were not standard missiles. They moved in unpredictable patterns, dodging pirate defensive fire. They worked together like a swarm of insects, overwhelming point defense systems through sheer numbers and coordination. 3 of Vrock's ships took critical damage in the first 30 seconds. "Return fire," he ordered desperately. "Target those platforms." His ships fired, but the platforms were better defended than they appeared. Energy shields absorbed most of the damage, and the 3 patrol ships were not retreating. Instead, they split up and attacked from different angles, their weapons targeting specific systems on the pirate vessels. Vrock realized with growing horror that the humans were not fighting like inexperienced prey. They fought like hunters who had planned this ambush carefully. Another pirate ship exploded as its reactor was breached by a precisely targeted missile. The remaining vessels tried to retreat, but the human patrol ships were faster than they looked. They chased the pirates, continuing to strike at engines and weapons systems. "Break off! Break off!" Vrock screamed into his communication system. "All ships, retreat immediately." Of his 12 ships, only 7 made it out of the system. The rest were destroyed or captured. Vrock's own vessel had severe damage to its main engines. He barely escaped with his life. In the mining colony control room, Commander Park Min-ho watched the pirate ships flee. He was a young officer, just 30 years old. But he had trained his entire life for moments like this. "Should we pursue, sir?" his tactical officer asked. "Negative," Park replied. "Let them go. Let them tell others what happened here." "Sir, the Council observers are requesting communication." Park smiled slightly. He knew the Council had monitoring stations near Earth's systems. They were watching, expecting to see humanity's first defeat. "Ignore them," Park said. "We have work to do. Get the damage assessment teams checking those platforms. I want a full report in 2 hours." On the Council monitoring station, the observers watched in shocked silence as they replayed the battle. Everything they believed about human military capability was wrong. "How did they hide those weapons?" one observer asked. "Our sensors showed only mining equipment. Look at their tactics," another replied, replaying the footage. "They did not panic. They did not waste ammunition. Every shot had a purpose. They fought like they have been at war for centuries." The senior observer began preparing his report for the Council. "This changes everything. The humans are not weak. They were pretending to be weak." "No," his colleague corrected. "They were not pretending. They simply let us assume. We saw what we expected to see." God. The report reached the Council chambers within days. Moravec read it 3 times, unable to believe what it said. 12 pirate ships defeated by a small mining colony. 5 pirate vessels destroyed. Not a single human casualty. "This must be an error," he told Tharn. "Their technology is primitive. Perhaps their technology is primitive," Tharn said slowly, studying the tactical recordings. "But their tactics are not. Look at how they fight. They do not follow standard combat doctrine. They do not do what opponents expect. They adapt constantly. One lucky victory against pirates means nothing, Moravec insisted. Real threats will emerge, soon enough. But across the galaxy, word of the pirate defeat spread quickly. Vrock told his story to anyone who would listen, warning other raiders to stay away from human territory. The story grew with each telling, becoming legend among the criminal underworld. And in the shadows of civilized space, others began to watch humanity with new interest. Some saw opportunity. Some saw threat. But none of them saw easy prey anymore. On Earth, Ambassador Jiwoo received Park Min-ho's report with quiet satisfaction. The Council expected humanity to fail. Instead, humanity showed the galaxy something unexpected. The message she sent to all human colonies was brief. They are watching now. Show them what we can do. 3 months after the pirate defeat, the Galactic Council faced a new problem. Human ships appeared in contested territories across the galaxy. These were regions claimed by no single power. Areas where the Council's authority was weak. Tharn watched the reports with growing frustration. They are everywhere. How are they expanding so quickly? Their ships are faster than we calculated, a military advisor explained. They use unconventional jump drive configurations. Less safe, perhaps, but much faster for long-distance travel. And they are establishing outposts, Moravec added, highlighting several locations on the galactic map. Small stations, usually on asteroids or uninhabited moons. Each one is heavily defended. What bothered the Council most was not just where humans were going, but what they were doing. Human traders made contact with independent worlds, planets, that refused Council membership. They offered fair trade agreements with no strings attached. On the independent world of Kelmar, a young human trader named Lee Sujin negotiated with local officials. She sat across from Governor Pelthax, a cautious being who had rejected Council offers for decades. Why should we trust you? Pelthax asked. The Council offered us protection and trade. We refused because we knew the cost. What makes your offer different? Sujin opened her datapad and displayed a simple contract. Read this carefully. We offer market prices for your minerals. We provide manufactured goods at fair rates. The contract lasts 1 year. Then you decide if you want to continue. No military obligations. No political requirements. Just trade. Pelthax studied the contract suspiciously. There must be hidden terms. The Council's contracts always have hidden terms. There are no hidden terms, Sujin replied. If you find something unclear, we will clarify it. If you want to change something, we can negotiate. We are not here to control you. We are here to do business. And if we sign this, the Council will be angry with us. Sujin shrugged. The Council is already angry with us. What they do about it is their choice. But we will honor our agreements, regardless of Council pressure. Pelthax signed the contract. Within weeks, 3 more independent worlds did the same. The economic impact rippled through the galaxy. These worlds no longer depended solely on Council-controlled trade routes. The Council's response was predictable. Moravec called Tharn to a private meeting. We cannot allow this to continue, Moravec said firmly. If independent worlds see they can thrive without us, our client species will start questioning their arrangements. What do you propose? Tharn asked, though he already knew the answer. A demonstration. Show these humans and their new trading partners what happens when they defy the Council's order. Tharn smiled coldly. The Thornax military would be pleased to provide such a demonstration. The Thornax fleet gathered near one of humanity's newest colonies, a small outpost on a moon called Haven. Intelligence reports showed only 200 humans there, building, mining, and refining facilities. The location was perfect for a show of force. Admiral Krex commanded the fleet of 15 warships. His orders were clear. Destroy the colony, leave no survivors, send a message that could not be ignored. This is different from fighting pirates, Krex told his officers. We represent the Council's authority. We show strength, discipline, and power. The galaxy must see what defiance costs. The fleet entered Haven's system in perfect formation. They did not hide their approach. The point was to be seen. Commander Choi Yuna commanded Haven Colony. She was 40 years old, a veteran of Earth's unification wars. When her sensors detected the Thornax fleet, she did not panic. All civilians to the shelters, she ordered calmly. Military personnel to battle stations. Send the message. The message went to every human outpost in range. A simple code that meant, under attack, need immediate support. Admiral Krex opened a communication channel to the colony. Humans of Haven, you have violated Council authority. By establishing this illegal outpost, you have 1 hour to evacuate before we destroy your facilities. Choi Yuna responded with equal formality. This is Commander Choi Yuna. Haven Colony is established in unclaimed territory. We recognize no Council authority here. If you attack, you commit an act of war. You are in no position to threaten us, Krex replied. We have 15 warships. You have mining equipment and perhaps a few defense platforms. Surrender now, and we will allow you to leave. We decline your offer, Choi Yuna said simply. Haven Colony will defend itself. Krex ended the communication and turned to his weapons officer. Target their power generators. Once they lose power, they lose everything. But as the Thornax ships moved into attack positions, something unexpected happened. Space around Haven shimmered as cloaking fields dropped. 7 human warships appeared, surrounding the Thornax fleet. Impossible! Krex shouted. Sir, they were hiding in the moon's magnetic field, his sensor officer reported frantically. The radiation masked their signatures. The human ships were smaller than Thornax vessels, but they moved with incredible speed and coordination. They did not form traditional battle lines. Instead, they scattered, each ship attacking from a different angle. Krex tried to organize his fleet, but the humans did not fight like any opponent he knew. They targeted specific systems with precision strikes. They used the moon's gravity to slingshot around obstacles. They fired and moved constantly, never staying in one place long enough for Thornax weapons to lock on. Return fire, Krex ordered. All ships focus on one target at a time, but coordinating 15 ships in 3-dimensional combat while under constant attack proved impossible. The Thornax vessels were powerful but slow. They were built for overwhelming firepower in traditional fleet battles. The humans fought like wolves hunting prey, striking weak points and retreating before counterattacks could land. 2 Thornax ships suffered critical damage to their engines. Another lost its main weapons. Krex's flagship took hits to its command systems, causing communication failures across the fleet. Sir, 3 more human ships just entered the system, the sensor officer reported. And those are bigger vessels. Capital ship class. Krex made a decision he never thought he would make. All ships, retreat. Full speed. Get us out of this system now. The Thornax fleet broke formation and fled. The human ships pursued for several minutes, landing more strikes on engines and weapons. Then, let them go. In Haven's command center, Choi Yuna watched the enemy retreat. Her hands shook slightly as adrenaline faded. She had been prepared to die defending this colony. Casualties? She asked. None, Commander. 2 injuries from equipment damage, both minor. All combat ships reporting minimal damage. Send a message to Earth. Tell them Haven stands. The recordings of the battle reached the Council within hours. This time, they could not deny what they saw. Human military capability was not primitive. It was different, unconventional, and extremely effective. How? Moravex asked, watching the footage for the 10th time. How are they doing this? A Council military expert provided analysis. They do not fight for glory or honor. They fight to win. Every action has a purpose. They use terrain, they use deception, they use tactics we consider beneath us, And it works. Tharn sat in silence, his pride wounded deeply. His fleet had been humiliated by a species the Council dismissed as insignificant. What do we do now? Moravex asked quietly. We have two choices, Tharn said slowly. Total war, which would cost more than we can afford, and might not even succeed. Or we admit we made a mistake. Moravex looked at him in shock. The Council does not admit mistakes. Then the Council will soon have much bigger problems than one stubborn species, Tharn replied. Across the galaxy, independent worlds watched the recordings with hope. The humans proved something important. The Council's power was not absolute. Freedom was possible, if one had the courage to fight for it. And in the Council's client systems, populations began to whisper dangerous questions about their own arrangements. The Council chamber had never been so quiet. 40 representatives sat in their seats, watching 3 empty chairs at the center of the room. Those chairs belonged to the delegations from Kelmar, Vexus, and Prawl, 3 client species who formally requested release from their protectorate agreements. Moravex stood at the speaker's podium, his silver skin appearing almost gray in the harsh chamber lights. He looked tired. The past 4 months had aged him considerably. This is unprecedented, he began, his voice lacking its usual confidence. For 3 client species, to simultaneously request independence, to reject the protection and benefits we provide. This cannot be coincidence. It is the humans, Tharn said from his seat. They poison the minds of our clients with talk of freedom and sovereignty. They offer trade agreements that undercut our economic system. They demonstrate that Council protection is not necessary for survival. A representative from the Vexus delegation, a small being named Tillix, stood despite not being formally recognized to speak. The humans did not poison our minds. They opened our eyes. Moravex gestured for security, but Tharn raised a hand to stop them. Let them speak. We should hear why they betray us. Tillix's voice was steady despite obvious nervousness. For 300 years, Vexus has been under Council protection. We pay 40% of our economic output for this protection. We cannot build military ships. We cannot negotiate our own trade deals. We need Council approval for major infrastructure projects. Is this protection or control? It is both, Moravex replied. The galaxy is dangerous. Without our military, your world would be conquered or destroyed within a year. The humans said something similar. Tillix continued. They said the galaxy is dangerous. They said freedom is risky. But then they said something else. They said freedom is worth the risk. They said civilizations that cannot choose for themselves are not really civilizations at all. They are possessions. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Several client species representatives nodded in agreement. The humans offer you nothing but words, Tharn argued. We offer real protection, real military power. The Thornax fleet has defended client worlds for centuries. The Thornax fleet also attacked a human colony, a representative from Kelmar pointed out. And the Thornax fleet retreated in defeat. If your military cannot defeat 200 humans on a moon, how does it protect us from real threats? Tharn rose angrily, but Moravex stopped him with a gesture. The Council leader knew that showing aggression now would only prove the client's point. What do the humans offer you? Moravex asked, changing tactics. Trade agreements? Those will disappear when it no longer benefits them. Defensive pacts? They do not have the military power to protect you. They offer us choice, Tillix replied simply. The trade agreements can be cancelled by either party. The defensive pacts are mutual. If we are attacked, they help us. If they are attacked, we help them. Partners, not servants. And what happens when you face a threat you cannot handle? Moravex pressed. When pirates raid your worlds, when hostile empires covet your resources, you will come crawling back to us, begging for the protection you rejected. Perhaps, Tillix acknowledged. But that will be our choice to make. Our mistake to learn from. our responsibility to bear. The humans showed us something we forgot. Fear of danger is not the same as wisdom. Safety, without freedom, is just another form of prison. The session ended with no resolution. The council refused to grant independence, but they also knew they could not hold unwilling clients by force. Not when the whole galaxy was watching. Not when the human example showed that defiance was possible. In a private station far from council space, Ambassador Ji Woo met with representatives from 7 independent worlds. They gathered in a simple conference room, sitting around a table as equals. The council is fracturing, one representative reported. 5 more client species are considering independence requests. The economic networks you established give them alternatives to council trade. This was never about destroying the council, Ji Woo said carefully. We simply wanted them to understand that power should come from cooperation, not coercion. But the council will not accept this quietly, another representative warned. They will push back. They may even use military force. They already tried military force at Haven, Ji Woo replied. It did not work out well for them. The council's military is powerful, but slow to adapt. They rely on overwhelming force and traditional tactics. We rely on flexibility and innovation. In the long run, adaptation beats raw power. What happens next? A third representative asked. Do we form a new alliance to oppose the council? Ji Woo shook her head. Opposition is not the goal. Reform is. The galaxy needs some form of coordination and cooperation. The council structure is not inherently wrong, but it must be based on voluntary participation, not forced compliance. You speak of changing a system that has existed for thousands of years, the first representative said skeptically. The council will never agree to that. They will, Ji Woo replied with quiet confidence. Because the alternative is irrelevance. Client species are leaving. Independent worlds are thriving. The council can evolve, or it can become a relic of the past. Back on Earth, military planners prepared for what they called the adjustment period. Defense Minister Kang Hyun-woo studied reports from across human territory. We are spread thin, he told his staff. 15 colonies, 12 outposts, trade agreements with 9 independent worlds. If the council decides to attack in force, we cannot defend everything at once. We do not need to defend everything at once, his strategic advisor replied. We need to make attacking us too costly to be worth it. Every engagement must cost the council more than they gain. Deterrence through attrition, Kang mused. It is a dangerous strategy, less dangerous than submission. The council offered us safety in chains. We chose freedom with risk. Now we must prove we can survive that choice. Reports began arriving of human innovation, spreading through independent worlds. Human engineers shared techniques for improving shield efficiency. Human farmers shared methods for increasing crop yields in harsh environments. Human doctors shared medical advances that helped species with different biologies. It was not charity. Every exchange involved fair trade and mutual benefit, but the cultural impact was profound. The human philosophy of cooperation between equals spread faster than any military conquest could. On the council world of Thex, a client species called the Relians held secret meetings. They were engineers and scientists, valued for their technical skills but denied political autonomy for 500 years. The humans share knowledge freely, one Relian scientist said. The council hoards it, parceling it out as rewards for obedience. If we request independence, the council will refuse, another replied. Then what? Do we fight? We have no military. The humans had no military either, the first scientist pointed out. Not by galactic standards. But they built one. They innovated. They adapted. They showed that determination and creativity can overcome raw power. Are you suggesting rebellion? I am suggesting we have a choice. We can remain valuable tools in the council's possession, or we can become people who control our own destiny. The conversation was repeated across dozens of client worlds. The human example planted seeds of dangerous ideas. Not dangerous to civilizations, but dangerous to the systems that controlled them. Moravec met with Tharn in a private chamber, away from recording devices and witnesses. "We are losing control," Moravec admitted. "Not through military defeat. Through erosion of legitimacy. The clients no longer see us as protectors. They see us as oppressors who call themselves protectors. Then we must remind them why they need us," Tharn growled. "Stage a crisis, pirates attacking a client world. We respond with overwhelming force, save them, remind them of our value. That will not work anymore. They will wonder why we let the crisis develop in the first place. They will question if we staged it. The humans have taught them to question everything." "Then what do you suggest?" Tharn demanded. Moravec was silent for a long moment. "I suggest we do something the Council has never done before." Tharn stared at him in disbelief. "Listen? To clients who betray us? To humans who insult us? Listen to what the galaxy is telling us," Moravec said quietly. "Our system is failing because it is built on fear and control. The humans offer something different: partnership, choice, respect, and the galaxy responds to that message more powerfully than any fleet. You speak like a traitor. I speak like someone who sees reality. We can adapt, or we can collapse. Those are our only options now." 6 months had passed since Ambassador Jiwoo walked out of the council chamber. The galaxy looked fundamentally different than it had that day. Jiwoo stood in her office on the human diplomatic station called Unity, reading reports from across known space. 14 former client species had gained independence. 23 independent worlds had joined what humans called the Galactic Cooperative. Even some council species were questioning their own arrangements. The cooperative was nothing like the old council. There was no hierarchy, no protectorates, no client species. Every member had equal voice. Decisions required consensus, not majority rule. It was messy, slow, and frustrating. It was also working. Her assistant, a young human diplomat named Park Jisoo, entered with more reports. "Ambassador, the council has sent another message. They want to meet." "That is the 5th message this month," Jiwoo replied. "What makes this one different?" "This one is from Moravec personally, not an official council communication. He asks to meet privately, just the two of you." Jiwoo considered this carefully. "Tell him I agree. Neutral location. No security forces. Just 2 people talking." They met on a small trading station between council and cooperative space. The station belonged to an independent merchant who cared nothing for politics, only profit. He was happy to provide a private room for the right price. Moravec arrived alone, as promised. He looked older than Jiwoo, remembered. The silver of his skin had dulled. His forearms moved with less confidence. They sat across from each other at a simple table. No recording devices. No translators, except their personal units. Just 2 beings who had set their civilizations on collision courses. "Thank you for meeting me," Moravec began. "I was not certain you would." "I was curious," Jiwoo replied honestly. "The council has not wanted private discussions before. The council still does not. This meeting is my own initiative. Some would call it treason. What would you call it?" Moravec was quiet for a moment. "I would call it necessary. Ambassador Jiwoo, I owe you an apology." Jiwoo showed surprise. "An apology? An apology? Was. When you first came to the council, we offered you protection. We thought we were being generous. We thought you were primitive beings who needed our guidance to survive. We were wrong. Topses, about our capabilities? About everything," Moravec said heavily. "About what civilization means. About what power is for. About how different species should relate to each other. The humans exposed failures in our system that we refuse to see. The council system worked for thousands of years, Jiwoo pointed out. Did it? Moravex asked. Or did it bring control that we called stability? Our client species were safe, yes. But they were also trapped. They could not grow, could not choose, could not develop their own destinies. We called it protection. But you were right. It was servitude. Why are you telling me this? Because the council is dying, Moravex said bluntly. Not in a day or a year. But the process has begun. More clients leave every month. Independent worlds refuse our offers. Even some council species question whether the old ways still serve us. If this continues, the structure that maintained galactic order for millennia will collapse. And you want humanity to stop this process? No, Moravex said, surprising her again. I want humanity to help us build something better. Jiwoo leaned back in her chair. Explain. The cooperative you built shows a different way. Equal partnership. Voluntary participation. Shared decision-making. It is chaotic and inefficient. But it is also vibrant and growing. Species join because they want to, not because they fear the alternative. The council could adopt these principles, Jiwoo suggested. Some council members would rather see everything burn than admit we were wrong. But others, like me, see the truth. We need to change, or we need to end. I come to you asking for help with that change. What kind of help? Moravex pulled out a data pad. This is a proposal. Restructure the council as a true alliance of equals. No more client species. No more protectorates. Each member maintains sovereignty and has equal voice in decisions. The council provides coordination and common services, but does not rule. 1. Jiwoo studied the proposal carefully. It was remarkably similar to the cooperative structure, but adapted for the council's much larger scale. This would require every council species to agree, she said, including those who benefit most from the current system. Yes. It will be the hardest thing the council has ever attempted, but the alternative is irrelevance and slow dissolution. Why come to me? Why not propose this directly to council? Because I need humans to support it. The galaxy watches you now. Independent worlds trust you. Former client species respect you. Even some council members admire what you built. If humans endorse this restructuring, others will follow. If you oppose it, the proposal dies before it begins. Jiwoo was silent for a long moment, thinking. Ambassador Moravex, when you first offered humanity a place in the galaxy, we refused because we would not accept servitude. You threatened us. You blockaded us. You sent military forces against our colonies. Why should we trust you now? Moravex met her gaze directly. You should not trust me because I ask nicely. You should trust me because our interests align. Humans want a galaxy where species cooperate as equals. I want the same thing now, because I finally understand that is the only stable future. The old ways are dying. The question is, what replaces them? Chaos and conflict? Or structured cooperation? You could be lying. This could be a trick to pull humanity into the council's structure, and then control us from within. I could be, Moravex admitted. But ask yourself this. If the council wanted to destroy humanity, why have we not attacked in force? We have more ships, more resources, more established military power. The truth is, we cannot defeat you without destroying ourselves in the process. Not because you are militarily stronger, but because the galaxy would see us as tyrants. You already won this conflict, Ambassador Jiwoo. The only question now is what kind of galaxy emerges from your victory. Jiwoo stood and walked to the window. Outside, she could see ships from a dozen different species docking at the trading station. Council ships and cooperative ships, side by side, engaging in commerce despite political tensions. I need to consult with Earth, she said finally. and with cooperative members. This decision is too large for one person. I understand. But please consider this carefully. The galaxy stands at a crossroads. We can build something new together, or we can watch the old order collapse and hope something better rises from the ruins. 3 weeks later, the council chambers filled with representatives from both council and cooperative members. It was the first time both groups met officially in the same space. Moravex stood at the center, presenting the restructuring proposal. Many council members looked angry. Several cooperative representatives appeared suspicious, but most watched and listened carefully. For too long, the council operated on the principle that some species needed to rule others for the greater good. Moravex began. We believed that stability required hierarchy. We were wrong. The humans showed us a different path. Partnership instead of dominance. Cooperation instead of control. Today, I propose we walk that path together. 2-3. 2-3. The debates lasted for days. Arguments grew heated. Several delegations walked out temporarily. But gradually, a consensus emerged. The old system was dying. The new system offered hope. When the final vote came, the restructuring passed with 70% support. The Galactic Council would dissolve. In its place would rise the Galactic Alliance, built on principles of equality, voluntary participation, and mutual respect. Tharn voted against the measure, as expected. But after the vote concluded, he approached Ji Woo privately. Your species humiliated mine, he said without preamble. The Thornax Empire does not forget such things. Then remember this as well. Ji Woo replied calmly. Your empire attacked our colony. We defeated your forces, but we did not pursue. We did not take revenge. We did not humiliate your soldiers. We let them retreat with honor. We showed restraint because we knew that today's enemy might be tomorrow's partner. Tharn was quiet for a moment. You fight like warriors, but you think like diplomats. This confuses me. It is not complicated, Ji Woo said. We fight when we must. We talk when we can. We always remember that war should serve peace, not replace it. Perhaps there is wisdom in your ways, Tharn admitted grudgingly. Perhaps. A year later, Ji Woo stood in the new alliance chambers. The structure looked similar to the old council, but the atmosphere was completely different. Representatives debated as equals. Smaller species voiced opinions without fear. Decisions came through consensus, not command. It was messy. Park Ji-soo approached with a message. Ambassador, Earth wants to know if you are coming home. You have been here for 2 years. Ji Woo smiled. Tell them not yet. There is still work to do. What kind of work? The alliance is new. It needs time to develop, to establish traditions, to prove it can survive. Someone needs to be here to help guide that process. The alliance has hundreds of diplomats now, Ji-soo pointed out. True. But they need to see that humans remain committed to the principles we fought for. That we did not push for change just to benefit ourselves, but to benefit everyone. Ji Woo walked to the window overlooking the station's docking bays. Ships from every corner of the galaxy came and went freely. Species that once feared each other now traded and talked. Former client worlds stood equal with former council powers. It was not perfect. There were still disputes, still tensions, still problems to solve. But now those problems were addressed through discussion, not domination. She thought back to that day in the old council chambers, when Moravex offered humanity, protection, and servitude. When she walked away, choosing freedom over safety. At the time, she had been terrified. Earth's leaders sent her with clear instructions, but no one knew if humanity could survive the choice they made. Now she knew. The choice was right, not because it was easy or safe, but because it was necessary. Civilizations that cannot choose for themselves are not really civilizations. They are possessions. Humanity chose freedom. And in making that choice, they freed others as well. Jisoo stood beside her at the window. Ambassador, what do you think will happen next? Where does the galaxy go from here? Jiwoo smiled. That is the beautiful thing about freedom. No one knows. We write the story together now, each species contributing their part. There will be challenges, and conflicts, and failures, but we will face them as partners, not as rulers and subjects. Was it worth it? All the risk? All the danger? All the uncertainty? Ask the Vexus that question, Jiwoo replied. Or the Relians. Or any former client species that now controls its own destiny. They will tell you. Freedom is always worth the risk. Always. Far away on Earth, in the archives where historical records were kept, someone filed Ambassador Jiwoo's first message after leaving the council chambers. The words were simple, but profound. We are free. Now we must show them what that means. Humanity had shown them. And the galaxy was better for it.